Alright, so we're doing a little work on the Ford 2000 tractor, and I actually wasn't planning on doing work to it. What started out as just a dead battery again on the C10. I gotta see where it's draining. I put that little solar float charger on it, but I guess it's too shady where I parked it and it didn't keep it up, so it's dead. I have a feeling it's the radio because everything else on this thing is stock. The only thing that is not stock on this thing is that radio, so I feel like that's probably draining it, but I don't know for sure. So I just brought the tractor over here. I was going to use it to charge it up. It was handy, and then I got to thinking, I was like, well, if I'm going to let it run here for a little bit and charge it up, might as well just do the Diesel Purge and let it run that Diesel Purge through it. So found that little tank. I'm not happy with it. I was like, well, I could use that. I was trying to find something to put the Diesel Purge in because I needed something gravity fed. I can't let it, when I did it on the Mercedes, the lift pump would suction it out. I don't think this thing has any suction on it, so I think it needs to be gravity fed like the tank is. So I went to go do that and cut off the fuel there. Went to undo the fuel line. I was going to cut it off and then take the fuel line, the metal fuel line off, tie onto the metal fuel line and hook it up to here and run it. And then I was also going to the return right there. You can see that's the injector return right there. I was going to undo that and connect that back into the a jar or something, just to return the fuel back there and not into the tank. But as soon as I started undoing the fuel line, it started pouring fuel out, and so that cutoff does not work. It is not shutting off the fuel. So that leaves us with a problem because we cannot undo the. We're going to lose the diesel that's in it. So I feel like if I'm going to lose the diesel that's in it, I might as well just put Diesel Purge in the tank and let it run the Diesel Purge in the tank. The only thing is, I don't know if I can get it. I don't know if I can get all the diesel out. So, I feel like it's going to be diluted. So I don't know. I don't know what the best option here is. I guess we could undo it, and we're going to lose the diesel that's in it no matter what. I guess I'll put a pan under it and catch it, and we'll use it to wash parts or something. Nothing I can really do about that. And then it doesn't really matter if we return the fuel back into the tank, it'll just run out. We'll put a pan, maybe a funnel or something, or a pan, or I don't know, let it run down. I don't know. Just trying to think of what our best options are. And then we could still use the tank. I don't want to return fuel back into the tank that we're running the Diesel Purge in. So I think our best option is to just undo that. We'll still let the fuel return to the tank. That keeps us from having to undo this, and it's just going to run out. Then, we undo this, let the diesel out. There's not much in it, so we'll lose it. I'll get a pan, we'll catch it, and like I said, we'll wash parts or something with it. We'll grab something to catch it with, and then we will go ahead and run. This will work. we'll run the Diesel Purge. I don't really like that tank. We may run it, we may not. We may kind of rig up a tank out of a bottle or something. And we'll catch that. Just go ahead and lose the diesel that's in it. And like I said, we'll just let the fuel return back to the tank, because it's not really going to matter at that point, because it's just going to run out. I'll have to get a cut-off valve at some point. Like I said, there's not much diesel in it, so we're not going to lose much. Probably less than 1/4 of a gallon. It looks like only about 1/2 inch of diesel in the tank. It's funny, it doesn't start running fuel out, so you get almost all the way out with it, but it leaked all the way until I threaded it back in, going the other way. Unless we were already out, and that's why it's not leaking. No, it's starting to leak. There we go. Yeah, so this will come off here. There's not much room here, so I'm not sure how this is going to go to get this line out. It's undone all the way. We'll loosen it off on this end. Filter in. I don't know if we can. Yeah, maybe if we undo it all the way, we can get it out, and then we'll just swivel it around or something. Yeah, there's just not. Yeah, we're going to bleed the air out of it after this. Yeah, there's just no room to get this line out. There we go. See, we'll just flip this around like this. And we're going to have to bleed the air out of the system, at least out of the filter, which is fine. I might actually loosen this off and let it leak, let it drain out. That'll get the diesel out of the system. Well, I guess I should have moved my pan first. We're catching most of it. Yeah, that'll work. And then we'll loosen the nut on the top and bleed the air back out of the filter. And the filter will be full of Diesel Purge. That'll work. Alright, I'm going to let this drain and we'll come back. Alright, so here's what we got here. On this bottle, I've got one of the ends that come like on a bottle of grease. You know, it's got it screws onto a regular quart, and it's got a nipple on it, I guess you could say, a spout. And I've got the hose shoved on that. This is a tight fit here. I've got the hose shoved on there. We're just gravity feed here. There's no pressure, but you know, it is a good tight fit. It's not leaking. I've got one bottle of Diesel Purge in here. I, of course, drained the fuel out of the filter, and then I loosened the bleeder bolt up here on top, bled the air out of it, closed it back off. I've got a Cool Whip container here to catch any fuel that leaks out of the tank, because we've got the line off the tank. We will be returning the unburnt fuel, Diesel Purge, back to the tank, and then it's going to run out into here. Yeah, so this is our tank. It's just a quart bottle with Diesel Purge in it. With the that was the best thing I could come up with. What I was afraid of with this other tank is I wouldn't be able to get all the Diesel Purge out. You know, it would leave some at the bottom. I wouldn't be able to burn it all. This way, it's almost like a funnel. You know, it's going to let all the Diesel Purge in. I've got 2 cans. Like I said, I've already loaded one up in here. We lost a little bit bleeding it, but not much. And then we've got a whole nother can we can run. So I'm going to go ahead and crank it up. Should be in neutral. It is. Yeah, and this is just taped on, hopefully well enough. Might just throw some more tape on here. Oh shoot. Turn the fuel on. Oh no. Forgot to turn the fuel on. This battery is a weak battery. Alright. What I should have done in the beginning. Dry the battery charger out here. Battery charge over to the truck. So we were running on Diesel Purge. We're running on Diesel Purge. Can y'all see everything okay? Good enough view. Smoke less on Diesel Purge than it does on diesel. This thing would just pour raw diesel out the exhaust. Not pour it out, but it was quite smoky. And you could not stand behind it. The smell of raw diesel is so bad. So, we're going to let it run. At least one bottle of Diesel Purge. We'll see if we need the second. Water pump sounds awful. Well, the hood fell off. Don't run it out of diesel this time. That noise is the water pump. Pouring diesel. Like I said, we're letting what's in the tank run back out. So that's Diesel Purge running in there. I just poured it back in there. There's a little bit of sediment in the bottom of that thing. I didn't pour that out. I let the last little bit of diesel with sediment. Even though we're still running through the fuel filter, I don't want to put that sediment through the fuel filter. They've also started a new leak. I don't know if you can see it. We're leaking up the steering shaft. Power steering, power steering fluid. hydraulic fluid. I'm gonna have to figure out why that's leaking. That water pump is awful. See what it looks like out the back. Of course, as soon as it started up on Diesel Purge, it was already smoking less. So I don't know if it's going to smoke less on Diesel Purge, and we'll put diesel back in it and it's going to smoke again. But right now, before the Diesel Purge, if it was running on diesel, it would just be pouring smoke out. And it's not. So hopefully once we put diesel back in it, it'll still not smoke. Pump there? Sounds awful. It is probably 2 inches away from the fan, so hopefully it wouldn't go into the fan if it completely came apart. Or it wouldn't go, the fan wouldn't go into the radiator. The fan is about 2 inches away from the radiator. Hopefully if it comes apart, it won't go into the radiator. So I'm going to shut it off, and this is what I was talking about. Reaching the steering shaft. I'm going to shut it off, and we're going to let it heat soak. Let that Diesel Purge sit in the injectors for a while. Now, let's see what it says. I think they actually tell you to do that. Let's see. It doesn't really say. So, we're going to let it sit for 10-15 minutes and we'll crank it back up. Alright, so it's been sitting about 10-15 minutes. Like 12 or 13 minutes actually. Yeah, this leak, I looked it up real quick. There's a seal up in here that needs to be replaced. So I'll have to tear it apart and replace it. And while I'm doing that, I might do something with these hydraulic lines because they are a mess. Went ahead and poured the rest of the Diesel Purge in. I'll show you this water pump. I can't believe it's not leaking. So let's crank this thing up. Turn the fuel back on. So I'm just going to run this thing some varying RPMs. This video is getting long. So I'm going to run it varying RPM until we've used up the Diesel Purge. It's going to take it a while as this fills up. I'm dumping pressure here, so it's going to be kind of a long process. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll dump some diesel back in the tank, and of course hook our lines back up and purge any air out of the system, and we'll see how it runs on diesel. Well, can't say for sure we're running completely on diesel right now. It's back on the tank with diesel in it, but like I said, the fuel filter is full of Diesel Purge. It's been running a few minutes, and it's definitely less smoky than it was. How this fuel return works on the tank. Yeah. There's a little port right there that comes off the injector. Any unused fuel off the injector just comes back and dribbles back in the tank. Definitely much better. I would say that's probably about normal. I mean, this thing, I'll put a clip. I think I've got a clip where I showed how, I wasn't specifically showing, but in that clip you can see how much smoke it poured out the back. Raw, unburnt diesel. Fuel coming out. We just get a little black smoke, which is normal. I think that cleared them up. I think we've got good injectors now. I think that did it. Now, prior to this, I had put a bunch of fuel injector cleaner in the tank, seeing if that would clear it up. Some of this stuff, which reminds me, I should go put some in it right now. I normally keep this in and just as a lubricant. I just run that in my diesels to replace, because it's ultra low sulfur diesel, just to help lubricate the injectors and injection pump. I'd say it's run long enough now. It's got to be running on diesel. It smells like diesel. Diesel Purge's got a little different smell to it. Definitely, I think that fixed our injector issue. And it is not getting run again until that water pump gets replaced. Oddly enough, the water pump is not leaking. So there you go. Diesel Purge saved us getting these injectors rebuilt. So definitely was worth it in this case. 2 cans of Diesel Purge. One thing done on the Ford 2000 tractor. We got one thing done, and as we got one thing done, another thing popped up. So we're gonna have to do this steering seal. Hopefully that's not how this thing's gonna go. You know, fix one thing, have to do something else. So we'll see. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and subscribe for more.